Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufas Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So today we'll be doing some more technical analysis in trying to understand what's currently happening in the markets and also what we're expecting for the day. So let's begin with a quick look at the economic calendar. So here's our economic calendar. As you can see, there was a surprise rate hike by 50 basis points, where we were expecting 25 basis points from 4.75% to 5%. But now the Reserve Bank of New Zealand went for 50 basis points, which pushed interest rates by 5.25%. So that's quite a surprise. I think now the Reserve Bank of New Zealand is majorly the most aggressive central bank among other central banks. So with that in mind, we also have some more data coming up for the day. So we had German factory orders month over month at 4.8% improvement compared to 0.5% in the previous reading, meaning there's growth in factory activity in Germany. There is a slight improvement for French industrial production. For Spanish services PMI, an improvement from a previous 56.7 to 59.4. Italian services also improving. French slightly slowing down. Germany majorly sideways, not a very big drop. And then for the final services PMI, it was a 55.0, which is still within the expansion territory. Remember, anything above 50.0 is expansionary. And now we'll be looking at final services PMI at 1130. So the most important news for the day will be the ADP non-farm employment change. So remember, we mentioned that this week, the most important data point will be the non-farm payrolls, which comes up at Friday, 3:30 p.m. So in order to prepare for what we're expecting on Friday, we said we focus on two data points. One is the number of JOLTS job openings, and this was announced yesterday. I'm trying to locate these. So just a moment. Yes. So here's the number of JOLTS job openings. As you can see, they are slowing down. So the number of new jobs advertised was 9.93 million in the last 1 month, compared to 10.56 million, meaning that there is less jobs being advertised, implying tightening labor conditions. So then we focus on the ADP non-farm employment change. Previously, it was reading 242K, and now we're expecting 208K. So if the number is much smaller than this, then we also be expecting a smaller number on the NFP. If there's a big surprise to the upside, then we'll be expecting something similar on the non-farm payrolls on Friday. So this will be a very strong indicator and guide on what to expect on the NFP. So besides these, we'll be looking at the Bank of England quarterly bulletin. This is tentative. We don't have a definite time. Then Canadian trade balance. This is the difference between exports and imports. US trade balance before we look at final services PMI and also ISM services PMI, which could also raise volatility for the US dollar pairs. So now that we know that's the key thing that we are focusing on today, we can take a quick look at the charts. First chart we have here is for New Zealand USD. You can see after the surprise rate hike, there was a big shift upwards before the market changed direction. However, on the longer run, you can see that this market was clearly making a very strong swing downwards, and now it's attempting to create what we call a bull market or a bull channel. So there is an expectation that you'll be seeing some further upside in this. So remember, this was some form of triangle that the market had just broken. So if you want to conceptualize this is how it looks like. So it's a longer term triangle since it's on the 4-hour chart, but now having broken here, the current market price action seems like a retest of this area before the market continues along that direction. So with the Reserve Bank of New Zealand being very aggressive with rate hikes, whereas the US is cancelling its quantitative tightening with more BTFP funding, then there's a good chance that the New Zealand dollar will be strengthening further against the US dollar. So I expect this particular trend to continue. So despite this pullback that we are seeing here, a key level to observe would be on the breakout area, and this is a price level of 0.631. So 0.631 seems like a nice price level to wait for price. And once we see signs of bullish entry, then we look for bullish positions, targeting even higher prices. So besides these, for the majors, we can see that the pound managed to make a very strong comeback. This was on Monday and Tuesday. Today seems to be slowing down and indicating some slight signs of pulling back downwards. So this is in response to the dollar index happening to be very weak over Monday and Tuesday. But then today, if the dollar happens to make some form of recovery, remember, even if it's weakening, it doesn't weaken in a straight line. Sometimes it will make a pullback. You can see after the sharp drop here, there was some form of pullback. So even after this sharp drop for the last 2 days, we could be seeing the dollar making some recovery, and these majors would start having some form of breather. So clearly, it was a very strong bullish momentum. So in the most recent leg from here, Monday, Tuesday, and today being Wednesday, perhaps we'll be seeing some form of pullback before the market continues higher. So this particular high seems like a very interesting data point. So there is a potential that the market will come back to retest this area, and this is 1.24460. So from H1, the expectation is maybe the market retests this area, and if we happen to see some signs of bullish entry, then we go higher. But then if the pullback is much stronger, then we could be looking at much lower prices, and the pound going all the way back to 1.23414, and in this case, would still be maintaining a bullish momentum. So for the Euro USD, it's something similar. So from the daily chart, you can see it's attempting to hit another high that we recently saw, 1.10345. So in this case, we saw some very good momentum happening here over this week, Monday and Tuesday. So today being Wednesday, there's an opportunity. We could be seeing prices flying higher. So from the 4-hour chart, this is how it looks like. So we already broke this particular resistance of 1.09276. So if there's some form of pullback, then the idea is to check the price retesting this area here, and perhaps some bullish momentum coming from this particular level and seeing some further upside. However, if this doesn't happen, then the target remains the previous high of 1.10345. So we could be seeing the prices retesting this week's high, or even going all the way up to this particular swing that we saw sometime back in January. So USD CAD managed to break the lower trend line, retested several times, but now you can see there's some form of recovery, where now the dollar is regaining some form of strength against the Canadian dollar. Also, there is some form of profit taking after there was a very strong sell here towards this area here. So after this strong drop towards the support level, some profit taking would make sense to see the prices reversing. So now we are seeing the dollar very strong against the Canadian dollar. And also, if you look at the oil markets, this is Brent oil. You can see yesterday it failed to break this particular resistance here. So we expected the dollar to break, Brent oil to break this area and to continue seeing even higher prices. And in that case, it would be moving along with another strong Canadian dollar. However, if the Canadian dollar is not strengthening as a result of this, then it's taking a beating from the dollar. And now we are seeing some form of recovery here. But the idea is to keep on short the pair. So if the market makes a pullback, then that's very welcome, because it prepares us for another short selling position. So USD yen, you can see the dollar losing for the last 2 days against the yen, and today it's pressing even lower. So there is a good chance we'll be seeing some further downside. So the target remains 130.083, which was the previous support. So if this downside momentum continues and the dollar keeps on losing, then the yen could strengthen against the dollar all the way down. So for gold, we had an impressive break yesterday in the afternoon. So after moving sideways for like almost 3 weeks, we had a very strong breakout happening here. And then after the breakout, you can see that the market was trading sideways through midnight. But now the momentum is picking up and we are looking at a potential continuation of this move. So remember, having reached 2027, then we are looking at a high that was last reached in February last year, and that is 2070. And it's also a very strong resistance level because if you zoom out backwards, then you'd notice that it's very close to the high that we saw in 2020 during COVID period. So this high, the market pulls back, gets to the same high, and now we are headed back towards the same high. So now this momentum seems straightforward. So there seems to be a good chance that we'll be seeing gold trading at 2069. So 2069 remains a very nice target for gold. So as for AUD/USD, we know that the Reserve Bank of Australia chose to maintain rates at the same level. They decided to freeze the rate hike cycle. And as a result, the AUD currency is taking a beating. So immediately after the announcement, we had a pullback. The market attempted to rebound, but this morning we saw some further sell-off. And here it's a very clear drop that we are headed back down towards the lower trend line. So we happened to mention this yesterday. So the market pulled back, but this signal early this morning was very strong. And as you can see, from this point onwards, the market has been moving strongly downwards. So as for US equities, you can already see that they are pulling back downwards. So a lot of hedge funds are very short on these equities. They're not very confident on the US economy performing very well when there's still high interest rates and high inflation. So in this case, we are seeing the equity indices taking a breather. So if you're looking for short selling positions, then this is probably it. So we could be seeing some further downside happening in US equity indices, beginning from what we are seeing today. So yesterday it was a nice pullback. Today we could be seeing some further downside. Same case for the Dow Jones and also for the US Tech 100. So if you look at the US Tech, even for our daily charts, they're indicating that this bullish momentum is out of gas and the market could be looking to pull back downwards. So that's it for today. Thank you very much, guys, and I hope to see you on the next session. So today I have a couple of announcements as I check on your questions here. So hello, Nilis, hello, Apollo, James, Isaac. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining the session, and apologies for the delay. So one of the announcements I'm making today is that from next week, I'll be taking a short break. So you might not be seeing my face around for a short break, could be 1 or 2 weeks. Second thing I need to announce is that we have another episode of the Bullish Banter podcast. So if you enjoyed the first one, then kindly go to our Twitter feed, FXPesaKE, and you'll find the post for the next episode. So this is all available on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, as well as our YouTube channel. And also, we have a holiday happening Friday on Monday. So equities as well as commodities will not be trading on Friday. So the only focus on the market this Friday will be the non-farm payrolls because the Forex market doesn't close, but then the equity markets as well as commodity markets will be closed on Friday as well as on Monday. There's a good question. How comes it was short? I don't know what was short. If it's this particular episode, it's always very short. We try to make it very short. Since it's in the morning, we take bite-sized content and try to prepare ourselves for the day. The longer episodes happen on Tuesday as well as on Thursday. Tuesdays at 4 p.m. and Thursdays at 8 p.m. So why is the Japanese yen strengthening across all pairs, whereas the BOJ is printing cash? A pullback was very much necessary. So sometimes it's just the price action. It's nothing to do with the fundamentals. So it's just the price action after a very strong rally. you will see traders taking profits and the markets reversing. So the fundamental direction remains the same. So when you see the euro losing against the yen, then prepare to continue trading in that same direction once the market gets to the bottom of it. So it's not as if anything has changed. So when you see this happening, remember we enjoyed a very good rally. So at some point, we could be seeing a continuation of the same. So it's the same case on pound yen. So unless the Bank of Japan is intervening, then there has to be some form of continuation since fundamentals remain relatively the same. There's a question on USD CNH. I don't know if I have that chart. I think I have it somewhere. Yeah, it's right here. So from the daily, you can see that for the last couple of months, the dollar has been losing to the Chinese yuan, made some good recovery. This was on February. Then on March, pulled back downwards, and now we are looking at April. So if I was to do a very fresh template, then you can see there's a lot of noise coming from what was happening last month. But now, if you look at the lows here, they are pretty definitive. And also the highs, this seems to be some form of horizontal resistance. So the market forms what looks like a double top, but then since then made an attempt to go down downwards, but seems to be trading in a range. So what I would say is that there's some form of resistance around this area that the USD CNH has been unable to break. So just looking at this on the H1 chart, you can see tall tails towards the upper side. So every time the market gets close to this trend line, there's long upper tails indicating rejection of higher prices. So I would say shorting around this trend line would make more sense than anything else on this chart. So H1, just observe whenever the market approaches this particular trend line, and then possibly look for short selling positions once you get evidence of bearish entry. So that's it for today. Thank you guys. I hope to see you on the next session. Your view on BRICS adapting yuan, on how this will affect the DXY. It's only a slight crack that is happening. There's still a long way to go. So far, the US dollar is very, very dominant.